Hi, folks. Another one of my little Chelsea vlogs. This time it's about the racism towards Tammy Abraham after he dared to miss a penalty in the Super Cup, and it's not something that sits well with me. It never has. But I just wanted you to tell the rest of you, particularly the younger ones of you, exactly what you're dealing with. You're dealing with a mindset, you're dealing with a lack of education, you're dealing with bigotry that's passed down. Now, I was born in London, Battersea, in the early 1960s, and when I was a little boy growing up, there weren't many black people, people of colour, non-white faces about in Battersea. I think there was two that I saw on any regular basis when I was walking around with my nan and my granddad and my parents. And all of a sudden, the area was literally flooded with people from the Caribbean, from Jamaica. Um, Basically, a little bit earlier, they'd been enticed over to do all our low-paid jobs that no one really wanted to do. Whilst our working class were working in factories, there was people that we needed. Because it wasn't that long after the war, really, to drive our buses, empty our bins, and that is what a lot of people of colour. I don't know what you call what's the non-racist term now. I'm going to say black people. They're not black. I'm not white. I'm a sort of pinky Phil Mitchell colour, and none of my friends are black. You couldn't actually put chalk on them and use them as chalkboards, but I'm going to say black. So if you are a person of colour, you're from the Caribbean, you're Afro-Caribbean, you're from Nigeria, you're African, please don't take offence, because it's not meant offensively. I'm just trying to get my point across without keep repeating myself with different versions. So anyway, suddenly Battersea and other areas of London, there were loads of black faces, and this allowed certain groups like the National Front, and the British National Party, who just don't like any other coloured skin, basically, to scare everyone. There was suddenly reports of crimes, old ladies on buses having their fingers cut off so that their rings could be taken off, and lots of scare stories. And no doubt, with all that influx of immigrants from overseas, no doubt some of them were bad uns. Because if you had 100 white people, you would get, I don't know, 5%, and at 5% of them that would have a criminal mentality, and I'm just certain it's the same with the black community. 5% of them will have a criminal mentality, because black, white, yellow, brown, we're human beings. There's good and there's bad in everyone. So you had that thing where grown adults, my grandparents said, "Oh, we need to support the National Front because there's people being murdered and people being robbed and all these horrible scare stories." And I was at school. I went to Joseph Tritton School in Battersea, and I met a little friend called John Emarua, and I think he was from Nigeria. Cracking footballer. And I'll tell you what the sad thing was. I mean, we got on great. We played for Providence Youth Club in Battersea, and he went to the Chelsea trials where, funnily enough, Eddie Heath, who'd just been done for child molesting, or just been found guilty, even though he's dead. Johnny Marua was brilliant when we went to the Chelsea trials. He ran on everyone. It was like watching Eden Hazard on speed. And I actually stood there and heard Eddie Heath and one of the other coaches, and I don't know who the other coach was, I was only a lad, and he said, "We can't sign him, he's black." Looking back now, what a horrible, horrible mentality to have. And of course, that changed because we had Paul Canaville and people coming through, and Paul Canaville was getting sent razor blades in envelopes by his own supporters. But I stood there one day at Chelsea. We're playing Watford. Luther Blissett was playing, and John Barnes was playing, and they were bombarded by bananas from the shed. It was hailing bananas. And you know what? At the start, because of the way I've been brought up, I sort of laughed. And it sunk in what people were doing. It's only, I don't know, 14. And you know what, by the end of that game, I actually cried. I actually had a tear run down my eye, around my cheek, at what we could do to other human beings. People just trying to come to this country to make their life better. And I thought of my friend Johnny Marua. The fact that he wasn't being signed because of the colour of his skin. Now, I moan about royalty, but the colour of your skin is down to the womb lottery. You can be lucky, relatively lucky like me, and be born out of a white working class vagina. Or you could have been unlucky and been born out of a 17th century African vagina and be put into a life of slavery. You know, it's just a lottery. And we were giving people stick for being born somewhere else with a different skin colour. The conversations and the laughs I had with Johnny and Maria and some other black friends, we were all the same. And as I got a bit older, coming up to my 20s, there were the riots going on in London, the Brixton riots and that, because we were treating black people and Irish, come to think of it, like absolute shite. And they fought back, and so they should. So would I. So would you. And I really thought that 30 years on, there wouldn't be any racism. And don't get me wrong, I've had racism from black people. I played football at a reasonable standard, and I've been called a honky, white shit, all sorts. But it's a minority, and it's in the heat of the moment of a football match. Doesn't make it right, but I took it, shook their hands at the end. I looked into their eyes, they looked into mine. It wasn't meant. It's not right. But it happens in the heat of battle, because you'll pick on anything that's slightly different. If I had a big nose, they'd say, "Oi, conky, watch your tackling." If I'm not an oil painting as it is, "Oi, ugly, off." But so yeah, that's what we're up against. So those ignorant banana throwers, the National Front and the British National Party, had children who've been indoctrinated. And they've had children who've been indoctrinated. And that's what we're dealing with. And I think that these people need educating. I would get the racists that are caught online, and I would get them to meet the players, or just go into black communities, maybe doing some, proper care work, uh, just to integrate and talk and realise we're all the same. Now, Tammy Abraham, he's got balls, big kahunas, because a young lad of 19, Super Cup final, I'll take the fifth penalty. I take my hat off to you, Tammy. And I'll tell you what, you're going to grow into being, whether it's at Chelsea or not, I don't know, a top quality centre forward. You're 19 and your hold up play is better than Morata. And how much is he worth? You're 19. So well done, Tammy. And I'm so sorry that you've had to carry the burden of lack of education on your back by these few idiots on Twitter. It's not Chelsea Football Club. It's not real supporters. It's not educated human beings. It's a very small minority of imbeciles, and imbeciles because they've been indoctrinated, which isn't an excuse, but I'm trying to give you a reason, an insight, and show you what we're up against. So let's get behind these players. Black, white, pink or blue, they're Chelsea. So they've been saying for ages, let's support. Hope you've got something out of this. The three people that watch my my blogs. Hope you've got something out of it. And to those few of you who do go and abuse black players, I hope you've listened. Maybe it's probably more important that you listen. I hope you've got something out of it. We are all the same. And the womb lottery, just remember that. Okay,